All right, we are live with the Health, Love, and Life show. This is Coach Arnie, and we are on the WGSN Going Solo Network, a TV podcast, #1 internet talk network. And we're going in, this is the Health, Love, and Life show, so we'll get our rhythm going here in a second. But, anybody wants to get a hold of me, please, best way is just give me a call, 602-390-9144. You can see it right there. You can email me. Go to coacharnie.com and or just Google me. There's my epic adventures. CC and I were just talking about doing more stuff on adventure type activity because I love it. And a lot of people out there, especially with COVID, they're looking to kind of break out and start living again a little bit. So we're going to be talking about some of that stuff as well. I'm headed to the Grand Canyon this weekend, and we'll be talking about that. And tonight, guys, there's our topic. CANEI. You probably wonder, what the heck is that? And it's constant and never-ending improvement, a key to a fulfilling life. And we're going to talk about tonight growth. That's if we kind of narrow it down to one word, it's growth. And it's interesting that. Some people think they're done growing when they finish school, and in many ways, you've just begun. I remember when I finished my master's, I thought, well, I'm never going to have to come back here again, and I haven't, except for fun things. But my education at that point really just began because everything that I studied in school, none of it. None of it did I actually do, but it was a springboard, and the main thing it gave me was confidence. And I'll tell you my Wizard of Oz. I haven't done my Wizard of Oz story for a while. It's something I can do. I do sometimes on a live stage or open mic. I was talking to somebody today about open mics, but I do 2 open mic stories. One is the Wizard of Oz, and the other is how to ride a bike. I should do that sometime. But The Wizard of Oz, one reason it's one of my favorite movies of all time. For some of you out there that may not know what the Wizard of Oz, because you may not be that old, or if you're as old as me, you grew up on The Wizard of Oz, because every year we got to see that. But I always ask the question, who is the smartest person in that movie? That's what I always start with. I loved it. There's a local sportscaster in town here, Ron Wolfley, played in the NFL. And gosh, many years ago, he was talking, and he mentioned The Wizard of Oz and how it was his favorite movie because of almost the same exact things that I talk about. I go, you got to be kidding me. No one says this. And so I love it. I mean, because it is out there. And I always ask, who's the smartest one in the movie? And most people go, well, nobody knows. Because I think most people just look at it as a movie. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, for whatever weird, strange reason, I went into a deep dive. And I always end up saying, well, it's a scarecrow. And they go, really? I go, yeah, what did the scarecrow want? A brain. I go, but he was, and they go, well, he was the smartest one. Yeah, think about it. He was the one that kind of got everybody out of all their situations and organized things. And remember at the very end of the movie when Dorothy was getting ready to get on she missed the balloon, remember? But she was going to click her heels and go home. And she went down the line and she said goodbye to everybody. And when she came to the scarecrow last, she goes, I think I'm going to miss you most. And that was because he was able to do so many things for her. He was able to do so many things for her and encourage all the other people. And he was like the strategist for the team. But he didn't have a brain. In his mind, he didn't. But remember when he went to the wizard, he said, I want a brain. And he goes, my friend, I'm going to give you the one thing that you're missing, that all the bright minds in the world have. And he reached into that little bag. Remember the bag? And he pulled out a diploma. I'm going to hand you a diploma. And all of a sudden he sits there and goes, he starts rattling off all these statistics and stuff. And, that's what it got me when I got my diploma, my master's. It's like, woo, all of a sudden I was important. But you know what? In many ways I thought I was. But it was just confidence. It's confidence to know that you've gone through a certain program. And even before you get results. That's what I love. The best line of that is Tony Robbins' line that he uses, that because it just came up yesterday as well. Tony Robbins has no degree. Because I asked this person, because I told her, you could be a teacher. She was presenting at schools in front of thousands, but she had no background, except she loved kids. And I said, you should be doing that. And she goes, but I'm not a teacher. I go, I'm going to do something to you that I used to do to all my students first day of class. I'm going to wave my hand here over the phone. Now, there, go. You are now a certified teacher because you have just as many degrees as Tony Robbins does. She goes, really? I go, yeah. I go, how many degrees does he have? He doesn't have any degrees, except for one very important one, a PhD. She goes, really? I go, yeah, in results, as do you. You've helped a lot of people get better, which, as a former teacher, I'm allowed, which is more than many teachers can say. So, confidence. It's that confidence, because I didn't stop with the degree. It was the start. And sadly, what many people stop doing in life is growing. And when you stop growing in life, you start dying. I think it was John Maxwell coined this great phrase. He goes, many people are already dead. They just haven't made it official yet. I mean, think about it. Those waves when you read your brain or your heart, right? And when you're dead, it's kind of flatlined. Well, when you're not growing or you're not living, you're kind of flatlined. And sadly, that's where many people are in life today. Especially with what's been going on in the last year, because caught a lot of us flat-footed. We weren't ready. And we weren't ready to pivot. We weren't ready to do a lot of things. Some were and did incredibly well. Many weren't and didn't. And the whole idea here tonight is to talk to you about CANEI, which is constant and never-ending improvement. If we just looked at each day as an opportunity just to get a little better, not as an opportunity to climb to the top of the pole. Because when most people climb to the top of a pole, then what? It's kind of like in a relationship. When you, hang on one second. It's like in a relationship. When you supposedly reach the peak of that relationship, the best that you thought it could be, I always ask the question, then what? Then what? See, my coach of many years now, 40, going on 47 years, still my coach. He's, in many ways, I coach him, but when I was a young guy, probably 15 years old, 16 maybe, he always said, Arnie, if somebody's going to help you, ask them what you're going to do next. Because that's key. Because you want to be around somebody that has that vision. Because you're just learning. You may know what you want. You don't know how to get there. It's like going to a guide. When I'm in the Grand Canyon, when I'm taking a team of 4 people, 5 including myself, to the canyon, Grand Canyon this weekend. Well, all of them have no idea where they're going. One does a little bit, but he has no idea where we're going to go. So they're depending on me for leadership and guidance. They know what they want. They want to go down into the canyon and come back up safely. They just don't know how yet. So they're going to rely on me because they've already done the training. Now they're going to rely on me for the guidance. And that's the key. So I'm going to guide them in the proper direction. Okay. And so that's kind of what, in life, that's what we're looking for. So as you're growing and you're constantly growing, you're always trying to seek just to be a little bit better. Because when we get to the top of that pole or that mountain or that relationship, many times we settle, we relax. And I'm not saying you can't relax, but when you stop growing and stop learning, and we're going to go through some things here that I wrote down. And when we stop learning in life, we stop growing. When we stop growing, we start dying. We start to flatten that line out. And, at the end of the night tonight, that's what I want you to be aware of. I want you to be aware of where are you on your growth plan? Do you even have one? Look, I wish somebody would have grabbed me by the shirt collar when I was 15 years old and helped me put together a growth plan. I knew what I wanted. I wanted to coach. I wanted to be a teacher. That's one thing, because a lot of people today don't know what they want. I told somebody today, I said, so what do you want to do? She was young, 22. Worked in a couple of different places. She goes, I really don't know. I said, that's okay. I go, take time in your 20s to try things, sample things, learn things. That's the time to do all that stuff. Then when you're 30, you'll make a decision, do something. And when I walked away, I heard her tell her friend, she goes, I like that. That makes me feel a lot better. Because a lot of times these young people put so much pressure on themselves. I wish, but things, again, 50 years ago, things weren't moving this fast. Today, things are moving so fast. And young people think if they don't know what their career is going to be, but a lot of people were told what their career was going to be when I was a young person. They were told. Okay? Or they were expected. I was expected to be a teacher. Some people are expected to be a doctor, expected to be a lawyer. But today, the whole term entrepreneur didn't come up probably 15 years ago. Now everybody wants to be an entrepreneur, and most families go, what is that? Well, I'm going to start a business. I'm going to sell T-shirts, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to, most people don't understand that stuff. But it doesn't matter what you choose to do. Is if you're growing every day, if you're learning a little bit every day, if you're growing, expanding, there's no limit to what you can do. There really isn't. Because, see, two of life's most essential needs are growth, continual growth. This is essential. Not everybody gets this. These aren't fundamental. These are essential. Not everybody gets this, though. Not everybody grows. And then contribution beyond self. It's one thing to do things for yourself, take care of yourself. Then what? Where are you going with this? Are you able to, I'm healthy because I want to take care of my family, or I want to take care of my friends. I'm healthy. I've got this. I'm doing this. But it starts off with you and then goes from there. You can't get there by spending all your time out here. You've got to develop you first, and then you can give away the overflow. That's the key. But most people don't get to themselves first. They're afraid of themselves. So there's very little growth going on. And by the time they're constantly giving away all their time, they're worn out. And what happens is after years of that, years, they're resentful, not only to other people, but themselves. Because they didn't take the time and travel. I grew up with a mom like that. All she ever wanted to do was travel. But her mom, my grandmother, didn't really let her. And back in those days, you didn't tell your parents to go pound sand. I just had somebody send me a message about my Grand Canyon adventure, and I love youth. It's like, so when are we going? And think of that mindset right there. Instead of, I don't know, this looks really hard. I don't think I can do this. It's like, when are we going? Isn't that amazing? See, that's like that 5-year-old that you say, what do you want to do in your life? I want to be an astronaut. I want to go to Mars. I want to be whatever. It doesn't matter. Because in their mind, it's whatever they want to be. It's limitless growth to them. But 10, 15 years later, what do you want to do? I have no idea. And that's why I'm telling people, like this young lady today I was telling, be patient. Take your time. Figure it out. It's okay not to know what you're going to do right now. Because for me, the worst thing to do to that person would to put that kind of pressure on them and say, make up your mind, you need to know now. No, they don't need to know now. It's about learning, growing, gathering those skills, meeting good people, loving people, okay? Creating great relationships, learning those essential skills that are going to help you. And then when that opportunity comes, for whatever it might be, you'll be ready, because one of the things about growth is that when you're growing, it's going to enhance the quality of life. When you're a lifelong learner, when you're involved in lifelong learning, your life is going to change. It's always going to change. It's always going to be better. So let's hold that thought. We'll come right back and let's start working through some points that I've made here about areas of growth that we can start looking at in our lives and how we can make our lives better. So we'll be right back, and we'll take a short break here. All right. I'm just sending this person a note. This person with all that enthusiasm. Okay. So areas of growth. Let's just start off here, and I want you to take a look at this, and I want you to kind of go inside first, because remember, we've got to grow here, and then we can grow here. Okay? So we have to grow internally first. And that's the key to constant and never-ending improvement. Each and every day, you want to improve. Remember, if your growth depends on other people, you're in trouble. If your growth depends on you, you're in control. It's a very important thing. Okay, because you can't control other people. So don't put that burden, that expectation on other people. All right. First one is health. I can continue to do what I'm doing in the Grand Canyon and other places. Actually, this week we were looking at Mount Rainier in Washington, and I was thinking that's a tough mountain. And then I watched a couple of guys that I know, and they did it in one day. I texted one of my partners, and I said, "What about this? Let's do it this way." And he goes, "Wow." And so now we got to put the plan together. Once COVID and everything's over, put the plan together to create an adventure at an epic place. But I can do that because I'm healthy. I keep myself healthy. And it's important to me because that reminds me when I'm out that, I don't drink anymore. I try to eat better. I try to take care of myself. And because I want to be able to do these things for as long as possible. Because to me, it's not about retiring. It's about continuing to do in life what you want to do when you want to do it. It's kind of like when I'm coaching somebody to run down the canyon, or walk down the canyon or hike down the canyon. If you want to run. If you want to walk. You want to jog. But you have to be in control. And if you train right, you do things right, then you're continually in control. But you can't tell somebody else what to do unless they're paying you. And even then, they'll probably not listen anyways. But the only person you can control is you. So your health, what you eat, how much you exercise, what you put in your brain here, who you surround yourself with. When we're talking about health, is it physical, mental health? And these are important things to think about. Your health at my age, Tony Robbins one time was doing a seminar, and I was on it kind of virtually, and everybody in the room that he was in live, he would walk around, and they were making a list of values, and he stopped after a few minutes. He goes, "Look, anybody here that's over 50, if you don't value your health first, you're in trouble." And he's right. See, in my life, it's God, then Arnie. And I've shared that with so many people, especially in workshops, and they look at me like, "Oh, come on." I actually went to a friend of mine invited me to a church, and there was a couple there. And he was going to go through this whole list of his values and how he lined them up in his life. And I'm thinking, right on. I was sitting in the front row. I had my notes out. I was ready. I was taking a notebook. I'll take some notes. And he went through his values. All right. And he went through, bam, bam. I'm thinking, okay, sounds so good so far. And then he got to the last one. It's 10. And he put himself. I go, no. I wanted to. Yeah. I leaned over to my buddy who invited me. I go, that is so wrong. That is wrong. I go, because see, if you don't fill this up first, if you don't build this up first, none of that other stuff matters. Your job, your wife, your kids, none of it matters. See, if your cup's not full, one of the greatest presentation I ever went to was this young lady, Michelle. She did a presentation. I was looking at her book last night, right there. You must be out of your mind by Michelle Riggs. And in that book, there was a chapter and a page, and it talked about filling your cup up and then watch it overflow and then give away all that overflow. And that picture made so much sense to me. But how do you get there? It's hard for people. It's hard for people because we all want to give away all of our time. And that's not what life's all about. But when you're right mentally, physically, you've got so much overflow. I mean, think of the people in your life that you know that are struggling with their health. Do they have time to give to their grandkids and their kids? No. If anything, they're sucking up everybody else's energy. Everybody has to take time to go to the hospital and visit them, or take time to go visit them at their home because they can't travel, they can't do anything. That's how powerful your health is. And if you don't put that first in your life, besides God, in my world, or whoever you look to spiritually, then yourself. But there can't be anything in between there. I mean anything. Kids, spouse, friends, hobbies. One of the things I'm very careful of, and I always risk it on these big weekends that I'm going right now, because I look at a weekend like this when I'm going as a guide, as a training run for me, because I train for big things as well. And I train hard right up to it because it's like another training day. But I don't want to get hurt. But I don't want to have that mindset. You don't want fear as your mindset. So I just keep training hard right through it. I just keep training hard right through it. So, but yeah, your health is so powerful. It's so powerful, and because it can open up your life, but it can also shut down your life as well very quickly. So be in control of your health. Relationships. Ooh. I mean, all you gotta do is look online. If you're in Facebook groups, men or women, I mean, probably the biggest groups out there. Anything to do with relationship. I mean, some of my men's groups, it's like, I mean, I can't go in there very long because I'll lose my mind. Because you have so many different things going on in there. Young people, older people, alpha male. I mean, oh my God. It's like, it's too much. You know, and to me, it just comes down to loving yourself like your life depends on it. If you can do that, you got this whole relationship thing. Because then you got a ton of love to give away. And that's all your partner wants anyways. Pretty simple, huh? Yeah. I mean, we got some pretty good examples of that in history. I mean, Jesus, that's what he did. So it's good enough for him. It's good enough for me. So if you're loving yourself like your life depends on it, you got plenty of love to give away. And all relationships are the same way, whether with your kids, business associates, friends. Just love people unconditionally. Unconditionally. Because if you put conditions on people, those relationships will never work. Wasting your time. Because at some point when things are transactional, they will end. They will end if it's transactional. I shouldn't say will, but a vast majority will. Because some people may like that transactional aspect of it. That's fine. So relationships are powerful ways of measuring growth. If your relationships are improving, your life is improving. Okay? Remember, this is about CANEI, constant and never-ending improvement. Does it mean big, giant leaps? No, of course not. It means little improvements. Little improvements. However that is for you. We're all different. Let's go to, how about career? Your career. Are you where you wanted to be? I mean, I know, I thought I did. I mean, all I ever want to do is, well, really all I ever want to do is coach. But the only way I could do that was teach back in the day. Up until, 7 years later. Yeah. And one day I looked out the window, it was a bus I was on. The team. And I said, what are you doing, man? Going backwards. you're not making any progress here. You're certainly not ever doing any constant, never any improvement. That wasn't even around then, but I wasn't. And I remember telling myself, you're going back to school, or God telling me that. You're going back to school, man. You got to get this thing figured out. That's what I did. Very next day. Changed my life. But there's so many other opportunities for everybody today to do that kind of stuff. But don't be afraid to change careers. Like I was telling the young lady this morning. Next year she'll be doing something different. 2 years from now, doing something different. 5 years from now, doing something different. 10 years from now, maybe she'll make a decision on what she wants to do. Patience. And so career is obviously an important part of life. But one of the things I love talking to 30-year-olds, and I say to them, so what are you going to do for the next 90 years of your life? And they look at me, and 99% of the time they laugh. Because those are real numbers to them. Because with all the things going on in medicine and stuff, a 30-year-old is looking at all kind of cool things happening. And when I say you're going to live to 120, they're thinking, maybe. So when I say, what are you going to do the next 90 years of your life? They laugh because they may have to figure that out, right? That's more than an entire lifeline for the average person. Lifetime. So it's okay to be patient with yourself. It's okay to learn new things, visit new people, learn different cultures. There's nothing wrong with that. It's okay to find another job. It's okay to move around. And I was reading tonight about a guy looking to do another 100-mile event. He's got to be in his 80s because he's talking about being the oldest runner and this and that. I've got to look him up. And then he was talking about having a knee replacement, and there he's out doing it again. You think that might be constant, never-ending improvement? Some of you might be thinking constant, never-ending craziness, but hey, he's out there running in his 100s or 80s, and he's having fun doing it. And by listening to his statement, I couldn't tell how old he was. But by reading all the way through, just clues like I was in the first one and this and that, blah, 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 I got an idea. So we need to think about that when it comes to career as well. How about wealth? It might be tied to career, maybe not. Maybe you're doing all this learning stuff to figure life out. I mean, let's be honest. A doctor goes through 10, sometimes more years of training, internships, everything else you can imagine. And sometime in their mid-30s, they start to make some money. Well, it's okay. If it's okay for those guys, why can't it be okay for you? Because it can be, if that's what you choose to do. So that could be a great thing to look forward to is creating wealth once you're in an area that you love, once you're in an area that you're passionate about. Okay? When you're passionate about something, there's a good chance you'll stay with it. If you can turn your hobby into something you can monetize, that's where you start to see the magic. That's where we start to see the magic. And then your skills. Are you getting better every day? Are you getting better at something? Can you dribble a basketball? I don't know if that's important to you. Can you cook? I don't know if it's important to you. Can you take care of yourself? Can you take care of your laundry? Personal stuff. What skills do you need to learn how to do? What do you want to learn how to do? Is it a business skills? Is it social media skills? These are things that I have to think about sometimes. If I can't figure something out, I either have to pay somebody to do it, wait for somebody I know to do it, or learn how to do it myself. And believe me, those are big things. But they're skills. They're skills. Maybe it's relationship skills. Maybe learning how to talk to people in your family or friends or acquaintances or whatever you're doing. Maybe you're on the phone. Maybe you need some coaching from your managers on how to better talk on the phone. I don't know. These are skills that you can continue to learn forever. There's no limit on learning. There's no limit. Now, I'll be honest with you. If you're not healthy, it makes it hard to learn because you're not inspired to learn. You're too worried about getting healthy. Right? So we want to potentially, play around with our career and potentially learn how we're going to create wealth. Whether it's through your career, whether it's through a business opportunity, whether it's through investments, whatever it might be, I don't know. I just know that this is stuff you have to do. And these are skills you have to learn, whatever works for you. I had a hard time putting this in a slot, but self-awareness. One of the biggest things in rehab or recovery, whether it be addiction or something else, awareness. If you're aware that you're saying certain things or you're talking a certain way or you're being with certain people, whatever it is, that self-awareness is the first step to getting better, to healing, to improving our circumstances. But if you're not even aware, it's like people that want to meet somebody special and they're hanging out at the corner bar, Joe's Corner Bar. And every Friday, Saturday, they go home, go, man, I can never meet anybody. They're not even aware that they're hanging out that place, that no one else is hanging out either, except their beat down, broken down friends. Self-awareness. Big part of this, self-awareness. How about emotional intelligence? That's a big one today. Are you empathetic? Meaning, do you see the world from the other person's point of view? I've been teaching this concept for years because I know how powerful it is. Because remember, most people would love to talk about their favorite topic in the world, which is themselves. Themselves. They'll talk about themselves till the cows come. Or they'll let you talk about themselves too. But if you try, and we're all guilty of this, I know I am, when you try to get in a word edgewise and explain to them, well, when I do this with they're already on to the next thought about themselves because you've opened the door. So I just keep that door wide open. I have to tell myself, listen, but I just keep feeding them red meat so they'll keep talking. Because eventually they're going to say things, when I'm interviewing somebody to do the Grand Canyon, one of the first things I want to know is, why do you want to do the Grand Canyon? What about it interests you? And then I want them to tell me, and then I want to know what's going on in their life, because my goal is to create an experience that will help them to overcome challenges in their own lives. That's the whole goal of Epic Adventures. Because when you can do epic things in your life, there's no telling. There's no limit to what you can do in the real world. And the whole idea is if there was just a way to unchain you, unleash your true potential, special things would happen. We all know this. You know this. Okay? If you're constantly growing, and part of growth is emotional intelligence. It's a big buzzword now, but it's real. Empathy is real. I had to learn this 30 years ago, working with people that have suffered traumatic injuries, seeing the world from their point of view, understanding what they were going through, even though you weren't in a wheelchair, but you could understand where they were going. You had to earn their trust by sharing your heart with them and they would share their heart with you. And then you got to know what their pain was, and you could address it, you could help it. But if you don't know, you don't know. And if you're constantly telling everybody what you're going to do, you're not listening to them. And it just won't last very long. You know, because most people have some deep, dark secrets that they want solved. And if something like the Grand Canyon or some other kind of epic adventure can help them solve their problem, I mean, who knows? Who knows what they'll do? Because we're all looking for that. We're all looking for that secret sauce to get us out of a certain predicament or whatever it might be. All right, let's look at the last one I wrote down here, which was spiritual intelligence or spiritual growth. I was looking at the other one. Spiritual growth. And big one, probably the biggest. Remember, I put God up here first. And as I look on my board, I've been real slow in creating my goals this year. Only because I was just being more thoughtful. But one of the ones I kept from last year is improve my relationship with God. And I know as I improve that relationship with God and myself, that becomes tight. And it's not budging. No one's going to get in there. No one's going to interfere with this relationship. And then as I build another relationship down here with somebody, I want to learn how to build that solid too, so that nobody can get between us. And then as I go lower, build another relationship, maybe with my kids. No one can touch that relationship. And then again, friends. Get it? And once you start this process, okay, of keeping yourself tight with the person above you or the thing above you, God, your spiritual mentor, and then yourself, and then your family, and then your friends, and then maybe your workmates. Look, you just keep going down that list. You keep going down that list, and pretty soon you have a list of 10 like that guy did. All right, but if you're not valuing health first and yourself first, you're going to be in trouble. So spiritually, it's all about that relationship with God. And God's going to help you to love yourself. God's going to help you to constantly be growing, seeing the improvement, giving yourself credit. A lot of us grow, but we have this fear of not being enough. It's a real fear, not being enough. And if you're encouraged that it is enough, there's a good chance that you'll finally get it and not be trying to climb to the top of the pole all the time. You'll just try to figure out what's next. And that's what it's all about. That's what CANEI is all about. Constant and never-ending improvement. It's a key to a fulfilling life, and it truly is. And each one of us can do that if we just spend some time learning about ourselves, learning about others, and just make things work. And they'll work for you. I promise you. All right, guys. This is Coach Arnie, and if anybody has any questions about any of this, please don't hesitate to call. And it doesn't cost you anything to talk to me. Let's set a time. Let's talk. Let's figure some stuff out for you. Let's help you have that breakthrough challenge that you're all looking for. I'll help you do it. All right. This is the Health, Love, and Life Show with me, Coach Arnie, and I'm out of here. Love you guys.